Good morning. So here's my deal. I grew up on a farm in Tennessee, and we had lots of work to do. We had about 100 acres, and we grew about 10 of that or so tobacco. So there was a lot of work to do out in the field all the time. And on the weekends before we got ready to go out and work in the field, my mom would fix us a great big breakfast, and the breakfast was supposed to last us until lunch because we were going to be working really hard, so it was pretty hearty. My dad was also a meat cutter when I was growing up, so we always had lots of meat in the house, and for breakfast we're going to be incorporating some of that into our hearty breakfast this morning. We have this country ham here. It is from Tennessee. It's Clifty Farms country ham. Comes from a great big leg that hangs in the grocery store in a cheesecloth, some sort of wrappy thing. And it's cured and stuff somehow. So it's very tasty, it's very salty, and that's going to be part of our breakfast this morning with some used eggs. Traditionally we wouldn't have used organic eggs. We probably would have gotten them from my grandmother's chickens, which could have been better than these eggs. Don't really know. And next we're going to be making some biscuits, because we always had biscuits, gravy, country ham, and eggs for breakfast. So we'll be using this here flour, some Crisco, and a little bit of baking powder. And normally we would be using buttermilk, but I forgot to go to the store and get buttermilk, so we're going to be using regular milk this morning to make our biscuits. And here we go. So to make these biscuits, we're just going to eyeball it, because that's what my mom always used to do. Put a little bit of flour in the bowl. Then we're going to get our Crisco. And we're going to put a little Crisco in there. So what we're doing here, if I want to get a close-up of this, we're just incorporating the Crisco in with the flour, and we keep on doing this until it makes these little teeny lumps. And if your ratio of Crisco to flour is not right, you can add more of either one until you get it right. So now that we got our Crisco incorporated into our flour, into these little meaty lumpy things, which we used this wonderful fork for. Now we're going to put a little milk in. Again, we don't really know how much. We're just eyeballing it, because that's the way my mom did it, and that's the way I'm doing it too. So you got to smush it around in there some more until it makes kind of a doughy looking thing that you kind of want to make into a biscuit. And we're getting there. Oh, it's looking like biscuits. It's looking like biscuit dough. And now that you got the biscuits all mushed up in the biscuit dough, you put a little flour on something so it doesn't stick it so bad. And you just grab a little ball. And just kind of do that. How my mama did it. And that's how I'm doing it.
Action.
Here's our delicious biscuits. We forgot to put the baking powder, well, I forgot to put the baking powder in the biscuits, so who knows how they're going to turn out, but this is what they normally look like, but they might not look this good when they come out of the oven. We'll see. So the oven's warming up now, and so while the oven warms up, we're going to cook our country ham. So here's our country ham. We got this shipped from Tennessee, and I took it to a butcher and had them slice it for me, nice and thin. The pieces are pretty big, so we're going to cut them in half. Maybe. There we go. And then when you're cooking this, the skin of the pig is still on the outside of this, so if you don't make little cuts in it, it'll curl up and it won't lay flat when you fry it. So I have to make these little cuts.
Action.
Okay, so now we're going to take our ham and we're going to fry it in a pan. I'll just stack these on top. And we're going to let this cook until it's a little bit brown on either side. It's already cooked, but we're just warming it, or it's not really cooked. We're just warming it up, basically, and getting it nice and brown. And while we're waiting for this to cook, we're going to put the biscuits in the oven. At 375, I'm guessing, for about 20 minutes in an ungreased pan. And we'll come back and check on that in a little bit. And that is a little flour, pretty much the same way you'd make normal gravy, except you put coffee in it. I like mine with a little bit of milk. So this is basically just the drippings from the ham. Here's the ham that we've cooked. This is the drippings in the bottom of the pan from the ham. And now we got our roux in there, which is coffee and flour. And we're kind of trying to scrape all the goodness off the bottom of the pan right now. So that's what makes the gravy taste so good. And we're going to put it back on some low heat here in a second and add a little milk to it. Not a lot, just a little. We're going to keep stirring this until it looks like gravy. So here's our red-eye gravy, but we're just going to, it's not really meant to be like put on as like a big gravy, like biscuits and gravy kind of gravy. It's more meant to just enhance the flavor of the biscuits and the country ham. So we'll just let this sit here for a minute while we're waiting for our biscuits to be done. And in the meantime, we'll cook some eggs. Okay, the only thing that's left for us to do now, want to look at the biscuits? They're looking like they're almost done, getting a little brown on the top. So by the time we get done cooking these eggs, hopefully the biscuits will be done. We might have to wait for another minute. We're just making them scrambled because it's easy that way. So we're all done now, and our breakfast is waiting for us over here. We got our biscuits and country ham and our eggs, and luckily we don't have to go work in the field later. So here's our country ham. It's very delicious.